Your life is not public property, and yet so many will walk into it, as if the doors were built for their footsteps, as if the windows were crafted for their eyes to peer through. There will always be people who believe they have the right to your stories, your struggles, your victories, your pain. But your soul was not shaped in a marketplace. Your worth was not weighed on the scales of public opinion. Your journey does not require the applause or approval of strangers who have not carried what you have carried. And when you understand this, when you stand tall in this truth, you will begin to see how sacred it is to move quietly, how powerful it is to grow silently, and how unshakable you become when your roots deepen away from the noise. There is a strength that does not shout. There is a power that does not step into the spotlight. There is a victory that is not posted for the crowd. And while the world tells you to share, to broadcast, to announce every rise and every fall, the spirit within you whispers something different. It whispers, protect what is still forming. Guard what is still growing. Shield what is still tender. Because not every hand deserves access to the softness of your beginnings, and not every eye deserves to witness the glow of your becoming. Your life was designed to be lived, not displayed. You must understand that some people want your story only so they can rewrite it with their own doubts. Some want your dreams only so they can measure them against their fears. Some want your plans only so they can break them before they bloom. When you speak too soon, you give others the chance to shrink what was meant to expand. When you reveal too much, you invite the winds of judgment into rooms where seeds should be sprouting quietly. Silence is not weakness. Silence is soil. It is the ground where the roots of your future take hold. It is the shelter where your spirit gathers strength before it rises. There is a certain dignity in living privately, not in hiding, not in shrinking, not in fearing the world, but in honoring your own depth. Your life is not a hallway where anyone can walk through. It is a home, and every home deserves locked doors, warm rooms, and safe spaces where only love is welcome. When you learn to keep your circle small and your intention sacred, you begin to see how peace grows. You begin to feel how the noise quiets. You begin to notice how your heart steadies when it is no longer pulled in every direction by the expectations of others. And I tell you this, the strongest people you will ever meet are not the ones who talk the loudest about their battles. They are the ones who walk with grace through storms nobody knows they survived. They are the ones who rise from their darkness without demanding the world watch. They are the ones who heal silently, grow quietly, and shine naturally because their strength was never meant to be a performance. Their strength was meant to be a foundation. Every time you choose privacy over validation, you reclaim your power. Every time you choose silence over unnecessary explanation, you craft resilience. Every time you pull back from the need to be understood by everyone, you align yourself with the only understanding that truly matters, your own. People will misunderstand you whether you speak or not. People will create stories whether you give them truth or silence. So choose silence that protects you rather than explanations that drain you. Choose strength that grows inward rather than attention that fades outward. There is freedom in not being available to everyone. Freedom in not updating the world on every step you take. Freedom in letting your life unfold like a veil, softly, privately, beautifully. The world has made noise normal. It has made oversharing a culture. It has convinced people that privacy is secrecy and boundaries are coldness. But hear me when I say your peace is not a public event. Your growth is not a community project. Your healing is not up for discussion. You owe no one a front row seat to your transformation. You must learn to walk away from the urge to prove yourself. Walk away from the urge to announce your plans. Walk away from the urge to defend your choices. You do not need to justify your journey to people who were not called to walk it. You do not need to reveal your dreams to people who have never believed in themselves. Some dreams require silence so they can breathe. Some blessings require privacy so they can settle. Some miracles require quiet so they can unfold without interruption. There is power in mystery, power in restraint, power in knowing that not everything that happens in your life deserves witnesses. The sacred things grow in the dark. The roots of a tree, the forming of a child, the healing of a heart. the construction of wisdom, and so will you. You will grow strongest in the places that no one can see. You will rebuild yourself in the rooms of your solitude. You will rise higher when you are not weighed down by the opinions and expectations of those who do not understand your purpose. The world will try to pull your private life into the open. It will tempt you with validation. It will lure you with attention. It will try to convince you that visibility is success. But the truth is simpler. Real strength does not beg to be witnessed. It does not ask to be broadcast. It does not shout for recognition. Real strength is steady. It is quiet. It is grounded. It stands when others fall. It breathes when others panic. It builds when others destroy. And most importantly, it survives without applause. People often reveal too much because they seek comfort, connection, or release. But not every ear is safe. Not every heart is kind. Not every mind is gentle. You must choose wisely where your words fall. Speak where you are valued, not where you are measured. Share where you are understood, not where you are judged. Open your heart where it will be held, not where it will be dissected. Your life is not public property, and the moment you begin to treat it as sacred, the world will learn to treat it that way too. When you walk quietly, people will wonder how you succeed. When you reveal little, people will question your depth. When you protect your peace, people will call you distant, but keep walking quietly. Keep revealing little. Keep protecting that peace. You owe them no explanations. You owe yourself your freedom, and in that freedom, you will discover how strong you truly are. Strength is not in showing the world your journey. Strength is in continuing your journey, even when the world knows nothing about it. Strength is not in displaying your wounds. Strength is in healing them without seeking sympathy. Strength is not in announcing your victories. Strength is in living them with grace. And when the time comes, when your blessings finally bloom, let them bloom without announcement. Let them shine without permission. Let them speak for themselves. Your silence will confuse many. Your privacy will frustrate some. Your restraint will intimidate others. But do not shrink, do not dim. Do not open your life to those who have not earned a place in it. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them misunderstand. You were not put on this earth to satisfy the curiosity of others. You were put here to grow, to rise, to love, to learn, to live deeply and meaningfully. Your purpose is too grand to be reduced to public consumption. There will always be people who think they deserve access to your heart, but you are under no obligation to bleed for those who only want to look. You are under no obligation to explain your quiet seasons or justify your silent growth. You are under no obligation to prove your healing to people who contributed to your wounds. You are under no obligation to share your dreams with those who laughed at your beginnings. Keep your life low. Keep it quiet. Keep it sacred. The soil never shouts about the seeds it holds, yet everything begins there. There is a gentleness in knowing your worth without needing others to confirm it. A fullness in loving your journey without needing witnesses. A strength in trusting your path without needing approval. And when you reach that place, you become unshakable. Because nothing the world says can disturb a heart that has made peace with itself. Nothing the world thinks can distract a mind that knows its own purpose. Nothing the world expects can sway a soul that is anchored in truth. You will meet people who speak loudly about things they have not lived. You will meet people who broadcast the smallest moments in desperate hope of meaning. You will meet people who share their battles because silence feels like loneliness. But you are learning a different way. You are learning the art of quiet strength, the art of standing firm without announcing it, the art of building silently, healing privately, and rising gracefully, the art of being so deeply rooted in who you are that noise becomes irrelevant. In time, you will understand that you were never meant to live your life in the open field of public judgment. You were meant to live it like a sacred garden, cultivated quietly, tended gently, protected fiercely. People may see the flowers when they bloom, but only you will know what it took beneath the surface. Only you will know the storms you survived, the nights you endured, the faith you held, the lessons you learned, the strength you gathered in the dark. And that is the beauty of private growth. It belongs to you. So keep your life low. not because you fear the world, but because you honor yourself. Keep it strong, not because you hide from life, but because you are building a life worth protecting. Not every truth deserves an audience. Not every dream deserves exposure. Not every moment deserves a witness. The world may not understand your silence, your privacy, your restraint, but they will understand your results. They will see your strength. They will feel your presence. And they will know that what you built came from a place of depth, intention, and discipline. Your life is not public property. It never was. And the day you fully embrace that truth is the day you reclaim your power, your peace, and your freedom. Move quietly. Grow deeply. Rise steadily. Let your strength speak only when it is ready, and even then only as much as you choose. Protect your personal life the way you protect your peace, because there comes a time in every person's journey when they realize that not everyone deserves a seat at the table of their private world. Some things are too delicate, too sacred, too unfinished to be placed before eyes that do not understand their value. Your personal life is the quiet sanctuary where your thoughts learn to breathe, where your dreams take their first steps, where your wounds search for healing, and where your spirit gathers its strength. When you allow too many people into that space, the peace you worked so hard to build becomes fragile. Every opinion becomes a weight, every judgment becomes a shadow, and every unnecessary conversation becomes a doorway for doubt. There is power in choosing who has access to your heart, your plans, and your struggles. Life has taught many that peace is not something that naturally appears. Peace is something you create, protect, and nurture. It is shaped by the choices you make and the voices you allow to surround you. When you guard your personal life, you make room for clarity. You make room for growth. You make room for the kind of inner stillness that strengthens you from within. People often mistake silence for secrecy, but silence is a form of self-respect. It is knowing that your life does not need to be approved, reviewed, or dissected by those who do not walk your path. It is choosing to move quietly so you can hear your own wisdom without interference. When you protect your peace, you are not being distant. You are honoring your energy and refusing to let the world drain what keeps you grounded. There will always be those who feel entitled to know your next move, your challenges, your relationships, your failures, and your triumphs. Some ask out of curiosity, others out of concern, and a few with intentions that do not serve your growth. But you do not owe your story to anyone who has not earned a place in your life. Your personal experiences are not community property. They are not meant to be spread out like pages of a book for anyone passing by to flip through. When you guard your private life, you are not being cold. You are simply choosing to create a space where you can evolve without the pressure of external eyes. Growth that happens in silence becomes the strongest kind of growth because it is shaped by your own truth, not the expectations of others. Protecting your personal life also means recognizing that not everyone can handle the weight of your dreams. Some will doubt them, some will envy them, and some will try to reshape them into something that fits their limited vision. By keeping certain things close to your heart, you give yourself the freedom to grow at your own pace without interference. Peace flourishes in environments that are free from noise, chaos, and unnecessary exposure. When your heart feels safe, your mind becomes clear and your spirit becomes steady. This is why boundaries are necessary, not walls, but doors with locks that only you decide when to open and whom to let in. Boundaries allow you to preserve your energy, maintain your focus, and protect the parts of your life that deserve care rather than commentary. Silence is a strategy, not weakness, because there are battles in life that demand quiet strength, battles that cannot be fought with noise or explained with long stories. Some journeys are too sacred to be narrated while they are unfolding. Silence gives you room to breathe, to think, to observe without pressure. It protects you from the expectations of others and the weight of their opinions. When you choose silence, you are not hiding. You are preserving the power of your becoming. The world often misunderstands this. They believe loudness is confidence and quietness is fear. But in truth, the strongest transformations happen behind closed doors, far from the reach of unnecessary voices. A seed grows in the dark before it ever reaches the sunlight, and so do you. Silence becomes the soil where roots deepen, where clarity forms, where strength gathers itself patiently before rising. When you move quietly, you allow yourself the freedom to develop without interruption. Noise invites opinions, and opinions create confusion, but silence invites alignment. It allows you to listen to your own inner wisdom, the voice that gets drowned out when you speak too soon or share too much. Many people fail to understand that silence is a strategic choice. It keeps you from revealing your plans to those who do not believe in your capabilities. It shields you from those who might discourage you not out of malice, but because their minds can only stretch as far as their own limitations. By choosing silence, you choose to grow without external interference. You choose to strengthen your foundation before you allow the world to see what you are building. And when the time comes for you to step out, you step out with stability, purpose, and conviction. There is a gentleness in silence, but there is also a firmness. It is not the silence of fear. It is the silence of someone who understands timing. Not everything must be spoken. Not every emotion must be explained. Not every goal must be announced. Silence gives you control over your narrative. It gives you the authority to decide when and how your truth should be released. The world encourages constant expression, constant sharing, constant exposure, but not everything precious is meant for display. When you protect your thoughts and dreams with silence, you give them a chance to mature. You give them the freedom to expand without judgment. You give them the power to exist before being seen. What grows in private becomes strong enough to thrive when it finally meets the light. Silence also teaches discipline. It teaches you to pause before reacting, to think before speaking, to observe before assuming. In quiet moments, you learn about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires, your values. You hear the whispers of your intuition more clearly. You discover patterns, lessons, and truths that get lost in the noise of everyday life. When you retreat into silence, you are not stepping back, you are stepping inward. You are connecting with the core of who you are without distractions. This inner connection becomes the anchor that keeps you steady when storms rise, when challenges appear, and when people test your boundaries. Silence builds inner resilience, the kind that does not crumble under pressure. There are people who will question your quietness, who will misunderstand your stillness, who will assume you are uncertain or insecure. But silence does not mean you are lost. Silence means you are preparing. It means you are gathering your strength, sharpening your focus, refining your vision. It means you understand that not every part of your journey requires an audience. Some phases of your growth belong only to you. And when you honor this, you learn to trust the timing of your life. You learn to trust the unfolding. You learn to trust the power of slow, intentional progress. The strength that is built in silence is unshakable, because it comes from within. It is not influenced by the shifting opinions of others. It is not dependent on applause or validation. It does not rise and fall with external approval. It grows quietly, steadily, deeply. And when it finally surfaces, it carries a force that cannot be denied. People will wonder how you became so strong, how you remained so steady, how you learned to navigate life with such grace. They will not understand the power of your silence, the hours you spent alone, the conversations you had with your own soul. They will not see the inner work you did, the self-discipline you developed, the resilience you cultivated. All they will see is the strength you now carry, the glow you now embody, the confidence you now move with. Because what grows in private becomes strongest in the light. Some dreams require silence, because the moment you speak them aloud, they become exposed to the doubts, fears, and limitations of others. When a dream is still young, still forming, still gathering its strength, it needs protection the way a flame needs cupped hands around it to keep the wind from blowing it out. Not everyone can see what you see. Not everyone can feel what you feel. Not everyone has the vision, the courage, or the imagination to understand a dream that hasn't fully shaped itself yet. When you reveal your plans too early, you risk placing them in the hands of people who cannot nurture them, people who will water them with fear instead of faith, with criticism instead of encouragement, with limitations instead of possibilities. That is why keeping your dreams hidden until they are powerful enough to stand on their own is not secrecy. It is wisdom. There is a sacredness in holding something close to your heart while it grows. In those quiet, private moments, dreams breathe better. They expand without being interrupted. They stretch into their full potential without being squeezed by the expectations of others. You must understand that exposure can stunt growth when something is not ready to face the world. Just like a seed breaks the soil only when it has roots strong enough to support the stem, your dreams deserve the same patience. You do not rush a seedling out of the ground, and you do not rush a dream into the spotlight. Everything powerful takes its time. Everything meaningful develops in silence before it arrives in brilliance. When you honor this natural process, you learn to trust your own timing instead of seeking validation too quickly. There are people whose minds have never dared to imagine anything beyond what they have already experienced. These are not the people you should hand your dreams to, because they will judge them by the smallness of their own world. Some will laugh. Some will question. Some will project their failures onto your possibilities, and without realizing it, their doubts can plant insecurities in your heart. Their disbelief can weaken your courage. Their negativity can pierce the very spirit of your growth. But when you choose to keep your plans private, you protect yourself from voices that are not meant to guide you. You choose faith over fear, clarity over confusion, and conviction over commentary. You give yourself the freedom to build a foundation that is strengthened by your own belief, rather than weakened by someone else's uncertainties. Silence gives you space to refine your dream. In quiet moments, you can adjust your path without having to explain every shift to anyone else. You can reflect, reassess, and redirect without feeling pressured to justify your choices. You can experiment, fail, try again, improve, and evolve privately. Growth becomes smoother when it is not watched. Mistakes become easier to navigate when they do not become conversations for others to analyze. Silence turns the journey inward, where it belongs. It allows your intuition to lead instead of the noise of outside opinions. It gives your heart the chance to shape the dream before the world shapes its interpretation of it. There will come a time when your dream becomes ready, ready to walk, ready to speak, ready to stand in the light without trembling. When that moment comes, you will feel it. You will no longer need to hide the progress. You will no longer fear being misunderstood. The dream will have grown enough to carry its own weight. It will no longer be vulnerable to criticism, because it will stand on a foundation strengthened by your commitment and nourished by your silence. People will see what you have built and wonder how it came to life so beautifully, so suddenly, so powerfully. They will not realize the patience it took, the discipline it required, the nights you spent nurturing something only you could see. They will only see the result, but you will know the journey. When you keep your dreams protected, you build a deeper relationship with them. You become more connected to your purpose. You learn the rhythm of your own growth. You follow the pace of your own spirit. You stop rushing, stop comparing, stop explaining. You understand that the world does not need to understand your vision for it to manifest. Your belief becomes enough. Your dedication becomes enough. Your silence becomes a shield, a shelter, a sanctuary where your dream can grow without interference. And in that sacred quiet, the impossible begins to take shape, slowly, steadily, beautifully, until it becomes strong enough to step into the light on its own terms. People judge what they don't understand, and that is why you must allow your results to speak instead of your explanations. When you spend your time trying to justify your decisions, your dreams, your changes, or your growth, you hand your power to people who have not walked a single step in your journey. Most of the judgments that come your way are not truly about you. They are projections of another person's fears, insecurities, and limitations. When someone cannot imagine themselves doing what you are doing, they question it. When someone is intimidated by your courage, they criticize it. When someone does not have the strength to follow their own path, they doubt yours. If you allow these opinions to sit inside your heart, they begin to poison your confidence. But when you allow your actions, your discipline, and your consistency to speak, the world can no longer deny what your growth has built. Explanations often become invitations for unnecessary commentary. The moment you start to justify your steps, people feel entitled to tell you which direction to take. They believe they have the right to decide what you should or should not do. But your path is not theirs to control. You are the one who heard the calling in your soul. You are the one who felt the pull toward change. You are the one who knows the weight of your past, the desires of your heart, and the vision that keeps you moving forward. Others see fragments of your story while you live the whole thing. How can someone judge a journey they have not traveled? How can someone measure a dream they have not dared to imagine? You cannot expect understanding from those who only observe but never experience. And that is why it is wiser to keep moving, keep growing, keep becoming, without pausing to explain. There is a quiet power in letting your results reveal what words never could. When you rise, people will notice. When you transform, people will feel it. When you elevate your life, the shift becomes undeniable. You do not need to convince anyone of your potential. Your progress will do it for you. Those who doubted you will see what you built. Those who criticized you will witness your strength. Those who misunderstood you will finally realize that your silence was not uncertainty. It was focus. It was discipline. It was the choice to prioritize your purpose over their opinions. Every goal you reach becomes a sentence. Every success becomes a paragraph. Every transformation becomes a chapter. Soon, your life story speaks louder than anything you could have said. Trying to explain yourself drains energy that you need for your growth. You waste time trying to change minds that were never open in the first place. You exhaust your spirit by chasing validation from people who do not even validate themselves. Growth requires protection. Progress requires concentration. Elevation requires silence. When you stop explaining and start doing, you redirect your power back into your own hands. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop guessing your decisions to avoid being judged. You stop seeking permission to live a life that was always yours to shape. The moment you free yourself from the need to be understood, you become unstoppable. People judge based on their perspective, not your reality. Someone living in fear will judge your bravery. Someone who refuses to grow will judge your evolution. Someone who is stuck will judge your movement. You cannot shape your life around the limitations of others. You cannot dim your light because someone else is uncomfortable with brightness. And you cannot allow judgment to distract you from your direction. When you understand this, explanations begin to feel unnecessary. You realize that misunderstandings are not your responsibility to fix. You learn that truth does not need defense. You understand that time reveals what words could never fully express. Letting your results speak is a form of wisdom. It shows that you trust your path more than the opinions around you. It shows that you value action over approval. It shows that you understand the power of patience and consistency. Instead of announcing your intentions, you work quietly. Instead of arguing with doubters, you rise in silence. Instead of responding to criticism, you build something so solid, so clear, so undeniable that it becomes its own answer. Those who once questioned you will have nothing left to say. Those who misunderstood you will understand without a single word from your mouth. Those who underestimated you will be forced to acknowledge the strength they failed to see. In the end, your life will speak for you in ways explanations never could. Privacy isn't secrecy. It is self-respect, discipline, and emotional maturity, because the way you manage what you share with the world reflects how much you value yourself. To live openly without discernment is to give away pieces of your soul to anyone who asks for them, regardless of whether they deserve them. When you protect your personal life, you set the tone for how people interact with you. You teach them that your boundaries are not negotiable and that your time, energy, and emotions are not public property. Self-respect begins with recognizing that you do not owe the world an explanation for every choice you make, every challenge you face, or every joy you experience. Emotional maturity grows when you understand that not everyone can handle the full truth of your journey, and discipline is cultivated when you consistently choose to keep sacred parts of your life private. There is a power in choosing what to reveal and what to withhold. Privacy allows you to build depth and authenticity, without the distraction of external judgment. When your life is not on display, your growth is guided by your own standards rather than the shifting opinions of others. Emotional maturity is the ability to remain grounded even when curiosity and pressure try to pull your private matters into the open. It is the wisdom to know that not every question deserves an answer, and not every opinion deserves your attention. Discipline comes when you consistently enforce these choices, when you resist the temptation to seek validation through disclosure, and when you honor your own need for reflection, rest, and internal alignment. Self-respect through privacy is not about being secretive. It is about honoring the sacredness of your own experiences. Every decision, every struggle, every triumph is a part of your story, and only those who have proven worthy should be allowed to witness the deeper chapters. When you develop this understanding, you stop over-explaining, stop defending yourself unnecessarily, and stop bending your truth to fit the comfort of others. Instead, you cultivate a life where your integrity and dignity guide your actions, and where your personal peace becomes the priority. People may misinterpret your silence, but their interpretations do not define you. You define yourself through your choices, your actions, and your consistency in protecting what is sacred. Discipline is cultivated when you resist the urge to broadcast every detail, to seek constant affirmation, or to let curiosity dictate your sharing. Privacy requires a conscious effort to maintain, and each time you choose it, you strengthen your capacity to focus, to think clearly, and to act intentionally. Emotional maturity grows as you recognize the distinction between those who genuinely deserve insight into your life and those who only seek entertainment or control. You begin to measure relationships not by proximity or popularity, but by respect, trust, and alignment with your values. This discernment shapes not only your interactions but also your inner life, giving you the ability to cultivate peace even in a world that constantly demands exposure. By embracing privacy as self-respect, discipline, and emotional maturity, you protect your energy, your dreams, and your spirit. You create space for authentic growth, for unshakable confidence, and for resilience that cannot be easily disturbed. You stop allowing the expectations and judgments of others to dictate the rhythm of your life, and instead you begin to move deliberately, guided by your own standards and your own truth. In doing so, your life becomes a reflection of strength that is steady, intentional, and deeply rooted. Your growth becomes unstoppable when you stop seeking validation and start valuing your inner world, because there is a kind of freedom that cannot be measured by approval or applause. Most people spend their lives chasing recognition, constantly seeking reassurance from others that they are on the right path, that their efforts are noticed, and that their choices are correct. But the truth is that no one can walk your journey for you. No one can carry your burdens, feel your fears, or understand the nuances of your dreams the way you do. When you rely on the validation of others, you allow your direction, your focus, and your confidence to be dictated by forces outside of your control. And in doing so, you weaken your own power. True strength emerges when you shift your attention inward, when the measure of your worth comes not from applause, but from the clarity, consistency, and courage with which you live your life. Valuing your inner world begins with understanding that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. This relationship requires honesty, commitment, and reflection. It requires you to ask the hard questions about your motivations, your fears, your desires, and your dreams. It requires you to confront the parts of yourself that are uncomfortable, the shadows that linger beneath the surface, and the doubts that arise in moments of uncertainty. By engaging deeply with your inner world, you cultivate self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. You learn to recognize the patterns that hold you back, to celebrate the strengths that propel you forward, and to navigate life with intentionality rather than reaction. When you prioritize this inner work, you no longer need the constant affirmation of others to know that you are moving in the right direction. Seeking validation from others often leads to compromise. When your choices are guided by the opinions of others, you dilute your purpose and diminish your power. You begin to make decisions based on fear of judgment rather than alignment with your values. You start to shape your identity according to external expectations, and you lose sight of who you truly are. In contrast, when you focus on valuing your inner world, your decisions are guided by authenticity. You act in accordance with your principles. Pursue your goals with clarity and respond to challenges with grounded confidence. You develop an unshakable sense of self because your worth is determined by your own understanding of your journey, not by the fluctuating judgments of the outside world. The process of turning inward also fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable, and the opinions of others are often inconsistent, superficial, or uninformed. If you build your confidence on external validation, it will rise and fall with every compliment, every criticism, and every overlooked achievement. This leaves you vulnerable to doubt, insecurity, and indecision. But when your sense of worth originates internally, it becomes steady, reliable, and resilient. Challenges no longer destabilize you because you have cultivated a foundation that cannot be shaken by temporary disapproval. Setbacks become lessons, obstacles become opportunities, and criticism becomes information rather than condemnation. You begin to understand that your inner voice, when cultivated and trusted, is the most dependable guide through the uncertainties of life. Valuing your inner world also deepens your capacity for creativity, focus, and personal growth. When you are not constantly seeking validation, your energy is redirected toward building, learning, and evolving. You are free to experiment, make mistakes, and iterate without fear of judgment. You explore ideas that may seem unconventional or unpopular because your creativity is fueled by curiosity and passion rather than approval. You dedicate yourself to mastery, self-improvement, and purposeful action rather than to impressing others. In this environment, growth becomes unstoppable because it is fueled by internal motivation rather than external expectation. The more you invest in your inner development, the more capable you become of facing life's complexities with skill, insight, and confidence. Another crucial aspect of valuing your inner world is the cultivation of boundaries. When you are no longer dependent on external validation, you gain clarity about who and what deserves your attention. You learn to distinguish between constructive guidance and noise, between relationships that nurture your growth and those that drain your energy. You begin to protect your time, your energy, and your focus with discernment, refusing to allow distractions, unnecessary opinions, or toxic influences to undermine your progress. This disciplined approach ensures that your growth is deliberate, intentional, and sustainable. By choosing what enters your inner world carefully, you create conditions where your potential can flourish without interference. As your inner world strengthens, your confidence and resilience radiate outward. People may notice the change, but it is not their validation that sustains you. It is your own awareness of your worth, your growth, and your alignment with your purpose. Others may attempt to criticize, question, or challenge you, but you remain steady because your foundation is anchored in self-knowledge, clarity, and internal validation. You respond from a place of power rather than reaction, and you act with deliberate intention rather than impulsive fear of judgment. The more you rely on your inner compass, the less sway external opinions hold over you, and the more unstoppable your progress becomes. Ultimately, your growth is unstoppable when you stop seeking validation, because you reclaim authority over your life. You begin to understand that your journey belongs to you alone, and that your decisions, your goals, and your self-worth are not negotiable commodities to be measured by others. You cultivate an internal ecosystem of strength, clarity, and focus that sustains you through every challenge and empowers you to pursue your highest potential. Every action you take, every choice you make, and every dream you pursue becomes a reflection of your inner values, rather than the approval of others. By valuing your inner world, you unlock the freedom, power, and resilience necessary to grow in ways that are authentic, profound, and unstoppable